Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling a pretty painful reality that so many incredibly skilled tradespeople deal with. We're speaking directly to the busy but broke contractor. You know exactly the situation I'm talking about, right? The owner who works tirelessly, closes deals, keeps their crew moving nonstop, but then they look at their bank account at the end of the month and it's completely empty. You pay your bills, fill up the trucks, replace the broken tools, and somehow, all the profit just vanishes. You're left standing there wondering where all that hard-earned cash actually went. Well, today we're going to fix that together.
We are moving you completely away from the chaotic stress of guessing your prices, copying what your competitors are doing, or underpricing just out of fear of losing a job. Instead, we're going to systemize your profits so you can finally step up and command the premium rates you deserve. It's time to stop leaving money on the table and start acting like a true business owner.
We've got a really solid playbook to run through today. First, we'll uncover the true cost trap. Then, we're going to clear up the massive confusion between markup and gross margin, dive into the psychology of pricing, build some fast and accurate estimating systems, and finally, talk about the power of knowing exactly when to walk away.
So, let's kick things off with part 1, the true cost trap. It is time to stop guessing and start calculating.
We really need to hold up a mirror to a reality that catches so many operators off guard. Every single job has 3 absolute cost categories. And listen, if you don't know exactly what they are, you're literally subsidizing the work with your own unpaid time. First up, direct materials. And please, do not forget the waste factor. Second is direct labor, which absolutely has to include your own fully loaded time. But the third? Man, overhead is the silent killer. These are those sneaky costs that eat your lunch when you aren't looking. Insurance, truck payments, marketing. They exist whether you account for them or not.
Let's look at how this math plays out in the real world using a roofing example. We're looking for your absolute break-even floor. Say we take $4,200 in materials. We add $1,120 in fully loaded labor, and then, here's the kicker, we add a $750 overhead allocation. That's just your monthly overhead divided by your average monthly jobs. Add all those up, and your total cost floor is $6,070. That is your absolute zero. Anything below that number and doing the job is actually costing you money out of your own pocket.
Moving into part 2, markup versus gross margin. This is the math error that is quietly bankrupting businesses.
This is where we run into the crucial difference between markup, which is the amount added to your cost, and gross margin, which is the actual profit you retain from your total sales price. Now, they sound super similar, and people use them interchangeably all the time, but mixing them up, that creates a compounding disaster for your bank account over hundreds of jobs.
Because here's the thing you have to understand. These are fundamentally different metrics. Markup just answers one simple question. How much extra am I tossing on top? It's calculated strictly from your base costs. But gross margin, that asks the real business question. Of every single dollar I bring in, what percentage is actually gross profit? Every financial ratio and every accountant uses margin, not markup. Let me show you exactly how confusing the two will quietly leave you with razor-thin returns.
Just look at this number, 23%. If you buy $5,000 in materials, mark them up by 30%, and charge the customer $6,500, you probably believe you just made a 30% profit. Well, you absolutely did not. You actually made a 23% margin, because $1,500 of profit divided by the $6,500 total price gives you 23%. If your industry benchmark requires a 40% margin just to survive, and you're out there just adding a 40% markup, you are literally starving your business to death without even realizing it.
Let's shift gears to part 3, the psychology of pricing, and honestly, why the cheapest price doesn't win.
We need to talk about how customers actually make their decisions, because this whole myth that the cheapest price always wins is just completely false. Imagine a tale of 2 contractors bidding the exact same roof. Contractor A quotes $13,500. He shows up on time, drives a clean truck, and hands over a detailed, itemized, written proposal. Then you've got contractor B. He quotes $12,800, but he's 20 minutes late and just texts a single number later that night. The homeowner happily pays the $13,500 premium to contractor A. Why? Because they are buying confidence and risk reduction. They want the safest choice for their biggest asset, not the absolute lowest price.
True professionalism acts as a powerful price signal.
It lets you charge what you're truly worth. Little things like clean uniforms, branded assets, quick communication, and offering tiered pricing options with a good, better, best model, all of these establish your perceived value. They completely shift the customer's internal question from, should I hire this person, to which option from this professional should I go with? That right there is how you confidently hold your price.
All right, part 4, fast and accurate estimating, choosing systems over chaos.
Here's a hard truth. Slow estimates lose jobs. Period. A homeowner who calls 3 contractors after a major storm is absolutely not going to wait around until the weekend for you to catch up on your paperwork. The contractor who gets a professional, accurate estimate in front of them first almost always wins the job. Speed is a massive competitive advantage in the trades. But speed without accuracy? That's dangerous. You need a rock-solid system.
To be both fast and accurate, you have to completely remove the friction from quoting. First, identify your top 2 or 3 most common job types. Second, build a template and pre-fill all those standard elements, like warranty and labor text, so you aren't constantly reinventing the wheel. Third, build a unit price list from your recent supplier invoices and make sure you update it quarterly. And fourth, standardize your labor hours for common work phases. Doing this lets you enforce a strict, non-negotiable rule. Every single estimate must be delivered within 24 hours of the site visit.
And finally, part 5, knowing when to walk. This is all about protecting your business from bad deals. The ultimate superpower of a mature business owner is the discipline to recognize a bad deal and professionally walk away from it. Some jobs will simply cost you more than they pay you. Every single hour your crew spends on a high-headache, low-margin job is an invisible opportunity cost. It drains resources, cash flow, and morale that really should be spent on profitable, straightforward work. You have to establish minimum acceptable job criteria, like a firm margin floor, and stick to it no matter what.
And beyond just the math, you really have to watch out for the human elements. When you see a combination of glaring customer red flags, maybe they've already fired 2 other contractors, or they're telling you exactly what everything should cost, they flat out refuse a deposit, they want to supply their own materials to quote-unquote save money, or they call you constantly before day 1 even starts. Listen, you are looking at a highly difficult customer. They are going to micromanage your process, blame you for issues, and completely kill your profit margins. When you spot those flags, or when someone is grinding you below your margin floor, you need a professional way out. You might want to write this script down. This is the literal honest pricing decline script you must use to confidently hold your margin floor without apologizing. Notice there's no hedging here. There's no, let me see what I can do. It's firm, it's respectful, and it strictly protects your business. Interestingly enough, delivering this with absolute confidence sometimes actually converts a no into a yes. And if it doesn't, well, you just dodged a massive bullet.
Which brings us to our final thought today. I want you to ask yourself this absolutely critical question. Are you running a business, or are you just buying yourself a really stressful job? If you don't know your costs, if you mess up your margins, and if you take every bad deal that comes your way, you're just buying stress. Set your minimum floor. Use this playbook to systemize your estimating. Command your true worth through professionalism, and step up to true business ownership. You have the tools now, so go out there and praise for profit. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this changes the way you look at your next estimate.